Hi, do you love horses? Because at Cavago Stories, we love horses. We love them a lot. We'll be talking to notable and amazing equestrian personalities from around the world. Our podcast, Cavago Stories, is on Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. You can subscribe now or write to us at support@mycavago.com. That's support@mycavago.com. May the horse be with you. Hi, I'm Tauseef. I am the CEO and founder of Cavago. I am so delighted to speak to Maria Pinho, who is such a dear friend that I actually call her my sister. She is family to me. And I'm so close that I've had the chance to go and stay at her wonderful farm. There, not only is she a Portuguese international Grand Prix rider, she is also one of the best breeders of Lusitano sport horses in the world. And I feel so privileged to speak to her. Hi, Maria, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you.
So Maria, I mean, I'm also very, very happy that you guys are one of the first hosts on Cavago. And I'm interested to hear your thoughts as a host on Cavago and what your experience has been so far.
Okay, so you've been here, I think, 2 years ago with this idea that on my mind suddenly was like, oh my God, how can a guy think like a brilliant idea as Cavago? Because at the time you didn't have any platform with this kind of service, and in my example, for me, it was always really boring because I had all the time to get my schedule and to book my clients and my clinics and get it all together with my riding time and the reading. So for me, it was just like suddenly a brilliant idea because I had a platform that would do everything that for me it was like a lot of work. So for me, was just like a brilliant idea when you talked about it. For me, was like, oh my God, for me it was fantastic.
Hmm. I'm so happy to hear that. And I find that with the app now, we're seeing a lot more people, users and potential riders and guests from Portugal looking at the app, let alone obviously internationally. And I'm so proud to say that Cavago has quite a few interesting properties, and Cavago has quite a few interesting properties from Portugal. But of course, by far for me, emotionally, coming over to your place is always special. Not only because of the goji berries, but of course the extraordinary horses that you have. Um, Tell me more about some of your horses and your breeding program and how Cavago fits into that.
Okay, so mostly I started my breeding program because at the time I'm looking like more or less 20 years ago in Portugal you didn't have a sport type Lusitano. So at the time, or you had a German horse or a warm blood horse for dressage, or the Lusitano wasn't able to compete.
Yeah.
So so at the time, I had warm blood horses, so I only rode that kind of horses. So in my mind, I started to think that suddenly it could be possible getting a sport Lusitano to get close to the warm bloods and try to compete with them, right? So at the time, I choose. I started with a small thing, only with two stallions and four mares, but it was horses that were completely out of the typical Lusitano. I can speak a little bit about that because the Lusitano was made mostly for bullfighting. So the only thing that was really, really important was that they only could have a good canter. So walk and trot wasn't important for the breeding. So they were selected only to canter, right? Or mostly to canter, because in bullfighting, that's the most important thing, that they have to be short, quick, and have like a quick canter, not elastic, okay, but not big canter, okay. So small canter to get out of the in the arena. Try to mix it up with the book, but so in my head, I selected 4 mares that went completely out of that. So they had size, they were really strong, they had bone that at the time no one would care about it because Lusitanos were really thin in their bones. So I got four mares that were completely out of what the normal breeders wanted at the time. Okay, so size, walk, good trot, and big canter. So completely apart what mostly the breeders at the time wanted. And in my mind, I had, as a rider, I had that feeling of the warm blood horse. So I had at the time 2 stallions that were really close on had the bloodline really close, so inbreeding really close. So what I did at the time, I mixed that stallions that were really with a close inbreeding with that mares that had no that didn't appear like a Lusitano. Okay, so it was like an experience. I can tell you at the time, right? I only had in my head the feeling, okay, of riding a warm blood horse, and in my mind I wanted to have a Lusitano with size and with the 3 important movements that I needed at the time at Dressage. So it started with an experience, and suddenly it started to work, and the falls started to become bigger and bigger, and with mostly they started with a good walk, but the trot was more or less. But I can explain forward because the walk and the canter, it's very difficult to change, okay. But the trot you can change with some gymnastic and working a little bit the passage, but that's a little bit technical, so I can move forward with that. And so now it's like 15 years later, they began to have mostly 170 centimeters horses. That for a Lusitano is huge, okay. And with the 3 movements that for me, including the trot that at the time was more or less, but now I have quality of. So, and the riding part, that the Lusitano is completely different from the warm blood, right? Really, really difficult, really different, sorry. The riding part for me, it was super, super important because like 20 years ago, the Lusitanos were a little bit nervous, but it was needed to the bullfighting. Okay, so that nerves and that kind of
Fitness.
temperament, yeah, and for sport you don't need it because they need to be focused and concentrate on what they are doing. So um, so at this time, I could have all my horses have like a super head, and they're really focused on what they are doing. So for me, as a rider, because I have the riding part and the reading part, so connected together. And when I say me, I say me and my husband Nunu, right? So they're both leaders, both riders. So we have two different opinions, and sometimes, but it's good. Okay, it's good to have another opinion and get along together. And nowadays we have this like big size Lusitano with strong bones and with the three movements that in our heads and get very, very close and each year closer and closer to the warm blood. So that's the
I
main
think
thing.
I think you have such an incredible achievement, and it's you must be so proud because obviously so many more Lusitanos are now on the international stage. For a brief while, I saw Ecuador and of course Maria Catano with her horse. So I think the Lusitano has an incredible future in sport horse dressage. But like that, Maria, you mentioned that you had the chance to feel what a warm blood feels like. Tell me about your journey because obviously you didn't only train in Portugal. You went to many different parts of the world. Tell me more about that.
Yes, I've been in Germany when I was 15 years old. So I started with backing young warm bloods. So I lived in a stud farm, a stallion stud farm. Okay, so it was interesting because I had the two parts again, the riding experience and the breeding part that the German have, and they are really focused and they really know what they want. And at the time it was I was a kid, right? I was 15 years old, but at the time it was important in my head to really understand. And I was inside a farm that it was nearly my dream to do, right? And at the time I didn't know it would be Lusitanos or not, because at the time I told you Lusitanos were mostly for bullfighting. Um, I had that experience. Uh, and then I came to Portugal again, and I had at the time at the riding center that I was, my horse got a big injury, and at the time there was a Lusitano that was completely out of the sport type. A brother of another horse that I think 2 or 3 years later went to the Olympics with a French rider, so a Lusitano called Orfeo. So that brother of that horse at the time, I had my horse injured, and the owner of that horse told me, because I had a really important international competition. I was a junior at the time, and he told me, "Why don't you go with my horse?" And I was like, at the time, with a Lusitano. And at the time, the horse for a Lusitano was big, okay, and he moved well, and I'm not very big, so for me, together we went along. and I got the third place with that horse at the time, and in an international with a Lusitano. It was really like crazy, you know. You can't imagine.
Yeah.
I can explain at the time at this right now, but because mostly a lot of people don't, of course, won't understand. But at the time, like 20 years ago, it was really like today riding a pony and go to do an international competition.
Or winning a Western ride with a mule or something.
Yeah, it was really like crazy idea. Okay, so that at that point in my head it was okay. It's possible, you know. And then the time went by, and I went to the young riders again with warm blood horses, and then one day I saw a Lusitano that was in the international festival. So you have in Lisbon the international Lusitano festival. You know about it, right? And I really highly recommend everyone to come and see, because it's really interesting to see it. So it's a good experience. And at the time, I saw a horse that really I can't express, but I think I saw that horse and I said, that would be a horse that would be good for me. And at the time, the owner didn't want to sell him, and was a little bit complicated, but we got an agreement, and I bought the horse. It was a difficult horse, okay, a typical Lusitano, okay, the most knownly stud farm in Portugal called Veiga. Okay, so very, very big stud farm, but again, bullfighting bloodlines. So at the time, he had the head that I wanted mentally, okay. The trot was really good, the canter was really good, the walk more or less. But with work and with time and with the right coaches, I got him to the Grand Prix.
That's incredible.
Okay, so and I've been in the Portuguese team with that horse. I did the Sunshine Tour with him, and we got really good marks. But I'm talking about a Lusitano that was 162, so centimeters. So he was really small, but I'm not very big. So the thing went along, and we achieved. And for me as a rider, I got a very, very good experience and knowledge to really know what I wanted to breed. So that horse was the beginning of everything. Okay, so he was my first stallion. So his bloodlines are really close. So he's an inbreeding horse. When you say inbreeding, is like cousins with cousins, or brothers with brothers. Okay, so and when you get close and close and close, it's dangerous. Okay, it's a dangerous thing to do. But mixed with that mares that I told you, it went along. And then I met my husband, right, Nuno, and he had his mares too at the time. So we mixed the studs together, and we bought the stallion that for me changed everything. That is Água Viva. Água Viva is a son of a really well-known Grand Prix horse, Lusitano, called Spartacus. And he had everything, okay? And at the time, no one cared really about him because he was really big. He had really big bones. He was a little bit clumsy on his movements. So, but his head, his way of focusing, he was really, for me, he had everything.
Yes.
So I spoke with Nuno at the time, and I told him, we already have this close inbreeding that we needed. So we need the stallion with the size and with the bones to get this to another level, right? And we did. We bought the horse, and since then, and he had at the time 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and 4 year gold medal sons. So he was the stallion. He was a stallion at the time with most sons and fillies with gold medals. So he was technically a fantastic stallion, and then we taught him until the Grand Prix level, and his sons are really like, in my opinion, fantastic, and you have seen them too. So
I've seen him.
You can say
he's an extraordinary
your
horse.
experience too.
In fact, I remember that there were several guests who'd come from Canada just to see him move and understand your breeding program. And I think you put together such a great package where people can come and experience what it is to breed these top horses, as well as be able to ride and experience them. So he's a very special horse, and you have, as a result, so many more special horses, which is why you enjoy one of the best reputations as a Lusitano sport horse breeder. Switching topics and in a related way, I think you guys are very special because you also get coaching and support and training by a living legend, Juan Manuel Munoz, who you introduced me to as well. Tell me more about him, because I think a lot of potential people who'd love to visit you and learn from you in a certain way are also learning from this World Equestrian Games gold medalist. And I still get shivers when I see that dressage test alongside tortillas. You know which one I'm talking about.
Yes, yes. Me and Nuno, we stopped competing 8 years ago to really focus on our breeding program. So, and financially too. So we had to stop to get our breeding program to another level. So because competition takes a lot of time, and you need really good sponsors. So at the time we stopped, but you can't stop training and having your own coach. Me and Nuno, we work together. So Nuno mostly teaches all our horses, and then we together we maintain the work that we needed. And 6 years ago, we met Juan. He was at the time. He was like you were saying in Kentucky with that fabulous cure that he got the 82% that for
right?
Yeah, 82. And at the time for a PRE, it's like now the Lusitano is getting closer and closer to the 72, 73, okay? So, and I highly recommend everyone to see that tour because it gives everyone the chills. It's impossible not to. because it's so emotional. The connection of them together is so unbelievable that I highly recommend that everyone should see it. But speaking a little bit about Juan, he really gets along with us. He, of course, he's an exceptional writer, but as a person too. And I think when you have a coach, you really have to have a really good connection, right? And we are on the same line of thinking in this course world. Okay, it's a world that's a little bit difficult to have a position, mostly when you are young. And Juan, we have the that we have a really really close, as you know, relationship. And in the training, he totally understands the Lusitano horse. That it's really important too, because sometimes you have a German coach or of another country that they don't understand, because it's they are different to ride, okay, and they have different behaviors, and so we had the chance that, and the for us at the time it was really really special that he accepts to train us.
Maria, I think a lot of young riders would like to follow in your footsteps, having trained and learned the discipline in Germany and then applying it to Portugal. Um, I think being able to do that through a Cavago platform is quite exciting. And I know that there was going to be a Brazilian rider that was going to come and visit you. Unfortunately, he couldn't come because of COVID. I'm sure that's impacted your business quite a bit.
Yes, at that level, yes, the clinics are mostly impossible to give because we are with the restrict
Mhm.
orders from our government, right? So it is what it is. Um, but the selling part for us right now, it's going more or less already sold to horses. So
Yeah.
for us, since the beginning of the year, that I thought it would be really really impossible. Uh, for us, in that part, it is going more or less what I was not thinking at all that would happen. So,
Mhm.
but the clinic and the visiting the stud farm at the time, it, it's not possible.
Of course.
For
Yes, that's
most
quite.
countries, it's not possible, and I understand.
Mm. We see so many horse properties who are fighting hard against COVID to survive, or in some cases, recover their business. And I think one of the things that I want Cavago to succeed and help horse businesses is to be able to market them effectively through our channels, so that we can help them succeed. Because sometimes, unless somebody does a good job of marketing these horse businesses, people don't know about them, right? And I often say that horse horse businesses and horse people are very good at working in the business, but they're not very good always at working on the business. So knowing what digital marketing is and having a payment gateway solution or a good booking system, and that is one problem that Cavago looks to address. Um, and I think, Maria, you guys are fortunate because you have a diverse business. You have such a good reputation. Uh, we're really looking forward to actually seeing a lot more of MP Lusitanos at Cavago, and wishing you, continued success.
Yes, you can't imagine the importance that Cavago can. I can speak from other breeders and other riders that it really, really is going to be a main platform that everyone can use and easily use, right? And will help a lot of people. I really think we started this conversation, and I was telling you the important for me that it helped me a lot because I didn't have to think about that part of the marketing of our spread. And so I think it's going to help so many people and so many riders that it will be really, really important.
Yes, of course. These are exciting times for us, of course, launching the app and having some great feedback from wonderful hosts like yourself, as well as riders and horse lovers from around the world.
Um, for me as a host, Cavago is really, really important in my life. As we start this conversation, I was telling you that it completely changed everything in my life because I, I I really wanted only to be focused on my writing and on my reading part. So that for me it was like the most fantastic thing in 2 years that could happen to me. And and I think it's a really easy platform to everyone to use. I highly recommend it. And
Maria, it's been such a pleasure speaking to you. Your extraordinary experiences, your extraordinary horses, and your extraordinary farm, one of my favorite places in the world. I am so happy that you're on board as a host on Cavago. And I look forward to your continued success. And I really am looking forward to seeing many of your horses succeed not only in Portugal, but around the world as the Lusitano horse continues to progress through dressage and do so well. All my very best, and of course, from Cavago, all the best too. May the horse be with you.
okay, Tauseef, thank you very, very much. And give me the opportunity to invite everyone to see Cavago's platform and only just not only my stud farm, but other fabulous properties all around the world. That it's really important to move the market and not only thinking about Portugal or Portuguese horses. Get a quick look, and I really invite everyone to see that platform. That I think it will be a big success.
Thank you so much, Maria.
You can subscribe now on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Or you can write to us at support@mycavago.com. That's support@mycavago.com. Thank you for listening in. We can't wait to hear from you. May the horse be with you.